I've never been involved in the political process. I always thought as a pastor, you know, you just need to kind of be quiet, take care of your flock and that kind of thing. But I made up my mind when I found out about this. That's the last straw. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. We've been pushed and jacked around and shoved in the corner, and Congress keeps coming back and saying we want more of your money, and we're doing less and less. They're destroying our country. Folks, this time we stood up and said, we're not putting up with it anymore. We're going to re-elect some officials. We're going to put some officials in there that believe in the Constitution and believe in freedom for Americans. And it's time to get that. So thank you. Thank you for coming out. Every one of you, thank you. I know we have some people that drove here from Ruidoso and Alamogordo and Glenwood and Reserve and all over the county, all over the state. And I want to thank you for taking the time to drive out here and be with us today. It means a lot to us. We're almost out of time. We saved the best for the last. Folks, I want you to give a good round of applause for a great congressman, Congressman Steve Pearce. Let's bring him out.
Thank you very much. Thanks to every single one of you who come out today. You know, we've always said we've got a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But for the people forgot to show up in the last 50 and 60 years, and we're not forgetting to show up now. This is tremendous seeing you here. Thanks to the organization for the opportunity to speak today. The invitation I did not take lightly. The fact that you all shows up just makes it that much warmer. Let's give a special round of applause to Mike Skidmore here. Where is he? Every event like this has to begin with one person like that. I mean, not exactly like that. We can start a little bit different. But you know, our revolution was fought from the pulpit. The British said if it weren't for the black coats, that's the guys who wore their black coats on Sundays and took them off and went out and led their parishioners into the revolution on Mondays. The British said if it weren't for the black coats, you'd still be a British colony. And God bless the black coats, and God bless them today as they're beginning to get active out here. I see a few members of the Tea Party around here. So raise your hand here. All right. Yes, thank you. God bless you all for being out here today. I've seen a lot of you in the past. All right, here we go. Right there, Las Cruces Tea Party. Who's come from the farthest away today? We got anybody from Las Cruces? Yes, obviously. How about further? Ruidoso? How many from Ruidoso here? Yeah, Capitan. We got some from Capitan. We got Second Amendment rights supporters out here from Capitan. All right, let's see them. What about as far as Albuquerque? Anybody here from? Oh, yeah, we are. Yeah. Okay. Who said the Albuquerque people don't know about the rural issues? Yeah, Winston. All right. Anybody from Arizona? We won't let you. Well, I guess we'd let you vote here if you come across the border here. So I guess. Anybody from Arizona? You know, they often say about. All right, we do. They often say about conservatives that we don't love the land, that we don't want to protect the land, and that's absolutely false. I'm as good an example as anyone. I think I'm as conservative as anyone around. I began conservation at around 10 or 12. We began to plant trees, shrubs in our local community as a part of our 4-H club. Later, when I got to college, Lyndon Johnson was in office. In 1967, I was tapped as the national co-chairman of the National Youth Conference on Natural Beauty and Conservation. They come to Hobbs, New Mexico to get some guy who's been planting trees out here. And I went around and spoke and appeared across the nation on the idea that we should be taking care of this land. And so let no one tell you that we as a group don't love the land as much as somebody else. I continued my love of the land when I got into the Air Force. We'd go canoeing in I was stationed in Arkansas. I'd go canoeing in southern Arkansas on the Current River on weekends. Then when I got back from Vietnam, bought me a backpack. I just wanted to be away from people for a while. We carried that backpack over parts of California, parts of New Mexico. Left one day, went down through El Paso, Mexico, Central America, ended up in South America before I turned around and came back. You just get that sort of feeling sometimes. So don't let people say that we, on our side of the issues, don't love the land. Because I believe that if it weren't for ranchers and farmers and conservatives of all kinds, this land would be overrun by brush and by timber, exactly like we're seeing it done right now. I was really interested, you know, people can make anything happen overnight these days. I was watching on TV the other day, and you've seen the stuff going on in Egypt. So sure enough, they were text certain number, text 543, or was that BR549 you're supposed to text? That was, you'd have to watch Hee-Haw to understand that one. Yeah, those people from Lee County just got it. We text this number if you want to help a relief effort in Egypt. I almost sent some money in, and then later found out it was just a pyramid scheme. Okay, that's right. Okay. But you know, those people in Egypt, they were speaking up against a government that was too strong and too powerful and could not hear. And President Obama sent them words of encouragement. And so I have asked my staff, if President Obama gets in touch with us because we're talking against a government that is too strong, too big, and too powerful, and if the president sends us a message, bring it down here quick, and I'm going to announce it from up here. But I'm not sure that the president's going to pay as much attention to us speaking up against the government too strong, because I think there are people in Washington that want that government that's too strong, that will tell us where we will go and how we will live and what we will do. And frankly, that's the reason that we're here today. To speak up and let our voices be heard, and to say, enough is enough. People who will say, keep our forest open. Yeah. Oh, that's a hint. Keep our forest open. Yeah. Keep our forest open, yeah. Keep our forest open, yeah. That's what the message that we want to come out of here today. Now, our Gila National Forest is 3.3 million acres. Just to put that in context, that's about 5 times the size of Rhode Island. It's 3% of all New Mexico. And we're going to say we're going to limit your access to it to 95% of it. Now, that's not me speaking. There are people who said that, that this information coming out here today is just misinformation. And I would send them to page IV in the draft EIS plan that says we got access to this many acres, 2.4 million acres now, and it becomes 118,000 afterwards. Now, 118,000 acres sounds like a lot. But when you start crowding people, just this number, if you carried your families out there and camped on the weekend, you might as well be camping in the backyard in Albuquerque in a condominium complex. You're going to be sitting right here talking to people right next door to you. You go to the forest to find the solitude, to find the peace, the contentment that can only come from God's beauty when we're there alone with our loved ones. You go to the forest to find pieces of yourself that you can't get in touch with in the hubbub of every day. You go to the national forest in order to let your kids experience the grandeur of God's creation, and to where you can explain to them right there among it what it means to us and why we should protect it. You go to the forest to renew a spirit that's beat down and downtrodden. You go to the forest for all different reasons, but you don't go to the forest to hear the people in the tent right next to you talking loud. Yeah. So when I got the invitation to come to speak today, I came to speak for the forgotten man and woman, the people that just go quietly every day and make their paychecks and pay their taxes, the people who never come to meetings like this. I came today to represent the people who have spoken up in the past and have gotten discouraged and frustrated because no one's listening. I'll tell you, my friends, Washington is listening. They tell you they're not, but I will guarantee you, just this meeting here will reverberate back to D.C. You know, there are people in this audience who take generations of their family to be together year after year after year into the wild lands and into the forest lands. And make no mistake about it, there's a difference between the national forest and the wilderness. There are 3.3 million acres right to your west here, and to your north, and to your south, and your east, and the quadrangles all around you. Those 3.3 million acres have 900,000 acres already set aside for the people who want to go and never see another car, who can backpack in miles and miles. And I myself have backpacked in and spent 3 days in this wilderness, way away from anything. But there are many people who don't have that capability. My mom loves to get out. Over Christmas break, she's 86. She rides around in a little scooter in her apartment. We got her one of those little ones that you can get on the airliner. We stuck her on an airliner. We took her out to California and we stuck her on the coastline. She just wanted to hear the sea coming in. She wanted to hear that sound, that rhythm that, again, is part of all God's creation. And we did that because she has a right to hear that. And let me read to you what the Forest Service says, again, to the people who think that, that we're fear-mongering up here. This is not fear-mongering, this is freedom of speech.
Yeah,
This is page 8 of the draft EIS, Aging and Disabled Population. There is no legal requirement to allow people with disabilities to use motor vehicles on roads or trails in areas that are closed to motor vehicle use. There is no legal requirement. Doesn't that sound like our history books talk about the monarchs over in Europe? The reason people came to this country was to get away from the monarchs who were limiting people from every piece of the land, limiting the people to any opportunities to move up. And we say there's no legal requirement for the Forest Service to listen. And I'm telling you, there should be a moral obligation for the U.S. Forest Service to listen, that people with disabilities and our aging should have an equal access to that land out there. One of the people who I've heard about is just a couple. They've been going out to the same spot for 35 years. He plays his harmonica out there. That's where they find themselves as a couple. They're like me, they're getting a little bit older. It's about a mile or two back there from the nearest road. They can still make that. But when the road is closed, that piece of their life is going to be closed forever because of some arbitrary decision made in some bureaucratic house somewhere in the state of New Mexico and encouraged from Washington, D.C. My friends, that is why we're here, to speak up for the forgotten men and women, the people who will just be walked past, walked around, and walked over in this decision. So make no mistake about it, your voices are very powerful and very important here today. But this fits a bigger part of the picture. Think about it from 30,000 feet. Because now you begin to see a puzzle fall into place that you can't see when we're right down here at the forest. Just last week in Washington, D.C., I was a part of a panel that was questioning about why the BLM is creating a wildlands policy that will allow them to create de facto wildernesses anywhere in the BLM they want to without congressional consent. Wilderness is supposed to be established by Congress, and under great pressure, the head of BLM finally admitted he had no authority to do this. None. But that is not going to stop him from doing it unless we, the people, begin to show the people in Washington what we mean is what we say, and what we say is what we mean.